Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McVinney. I'm your host. Today's the 10th of March, year 2026. Tonight at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Jupiter, the planet that rules education, comedy, the justice system, faith, the clergy, will station direct. Jupiter's currently at 15 degrees in the sign of Cancer. It will create a trine with Mercury that is currently retrograde. This moving forward of the giant planet represents the USA's insatiable desire for more war, or at least our leader, or the people behind the leader, the people that are in that room making those decisions, which actually Congress should be called to debate. But no, that's not happening right now. So as we currently have a war with Iran, which many people are very concerned about, we now have, in addition to that, chatter about Cuba. My thought is that our leader of the free world will begin to be reined in because his ratings are plummeting and he cannot bear to not be loved, because it is a lack of love that motivates, I think, a lot of his choices. And of course, it's always true to follow the money. When it comes to war, it's always about money and never about freedom. Or we could say the freedom to pursue everybody else's resources. Now, all of this is terribly depressing because human beings are suffering. I don't care what nation they belong to. Suffering is suffering. And when you cause suffering for others, it comes back to you. With all that said, I am somewhat optimistic. Jupiter brings optimism that things will be made right. As we move closer to spring, we have several events that could shake up Mr. Trump's cabinet. The first thing is that Mercury will station direct on Spring Day. On March 17th through the 21st, transiting Mars will trigger the recent total lunar eclipse that occurred on February 17th. That eclipse is still extremely active, and when Mars comes along to trigger the degree that happened in that eclipse, we see what the eclipse promised. And since the eclipse was also, of course, a full moon with sunglasses on, we will see some things come to closure, to an end. And let us hope that that thing is war. One thing I did just see come to an end in the headlines today was the program that President Biden created for students who had borrowed money to pay for their education, their higher education, had been canceled. So none of this is going to create an abiding love for this administration. As a matter of fact, I think his approval rate is eroding as I speak. And I do believe his health is eroding as well. But I would like to shift a little bit away from the one that never gets enough attention to your personal chart, your birth chart. Where is transiting Jupiter moving within your chart? Which house? That's the house to pay extra attention to right now. That's where opportunities for you to grow and relate better with others and find some humor and maybe even take some classes with whatever particular area Jupiter is igniting with possibilities. So let me just review for you the houses. The first house is the physical self. It's the lens that you look through. The second is your income or money that you make and how and what you spend that money on. It's also your values. Third house is communication skills. It deals with brother and sisters. It deals with the community, the one that's close to you, not distant. And transportation. So if you're looking to get a different car, Jupiter in the third house, stationing direct, gives you a little green light. The fourth house deals with real estate. It deals with the home, the physical home, the seat of the soul, and the mother. The fifth house deals with your children, how you play, what you do for recreation, hobbies that perhaps might bring in some income for you. It also deals with love affairs. The sixth house deals with your health, everyday employment, and the mundane issues of life. The seventh house is your partner, business, or romantic, anybody who is not you and the public. Eighth house is your partner's values, other people's money, legacies, and transcendence. It's the transcendence house, how you rise above. Ninth house is faith, education, higher education, universities, other cultures than your own, long distance travel. 10th house, the head of the family, which traditionally we think of as the father, but of course now that could be a female as well. But I still give the 10th house jurisdiction of the father or the father figure. It's your reputation in the world. It's your boss. 11th house, long-term hopes and wishes, your friends, committees that you might hang out on, and deal with those boring board meetings. That's why they're called board. And 12th house is the cave, where you go to create, the studio, where you go to heal the body, the hospital, and if you've been a bad person, where you go to think about what you shouldn't have done, prisons. 12th house also deals with ashrams and spiritual learning. It's the house where we go inward. Take a look at your chart, see where in the sky Jupiter is falling at 15 degrees Cancer, and that's where you want to focus your attention. In addition to focusing on that house where Cancer is traveling through, you might look to the house that is ruled by Sagittarius and also Pisces. A few dates I want to give you. Jupiter enters the 10th house of the United States of America on March 30th. On June 1st, Jupiter conjuncts the USA's Mercury. And on June 18th, Jupiter will oppose the USA's Pluto. Now, just to talk briefly about the leader-in-chief, or dictator-in-chief as I call him now, Jupiter will trigger his Mercury and his Saturn this summer. Well, it's not quite summer, but just about to be summer. It will happen the last 2 weeks of May 2026. I believe things will change very dramatically this summer. I also took a look at J.D. Vance's chart, and he has a lot of activity going on. Of course, we know he's about to be a father again, and it could indicate that. But I saw some indicators that perhaps by the end of April, we might get hints of what is to come in the summer. Specifically, the direction that he intends to go on. And then on July 10th, Uranus in the sky will conjunct his north node, which will indicate a sudden, unexpected shift and change in the direction of his life that is tremendous. And in case you did not remember, Uranus, the planet of the lightning bolt, moves into the sign of Gemini on April 25th. So we have a lot of activity happening, and I do believe that some of this activity will bring to the table some positive options. Possibly with Jupiter stationing direct, we will begin to see more building and the real estate market starting to turn upward again. Currently, it's on a downward turn. For the United States of America, Jupiter in the sign of Cancer is so important because, of course, our Sun and our Mercury are in this placement, as also our Venus. But it has to be noted, with astrology, nothing happens in isolation. You have to look at the entire spread of the courses that you're about to digest. It's like a 40-course meal, and then some. And Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, and they are squaring America's Venus right now. A little wide, not exact yet, but it will be soon enough. I see a reining in happening with the war. I see this as with the wars, actually. I see what's taking place right now is a little bit of a religious war, really, with the people that are fundamentally stuck in the thought that a certain play has to be acted out, and the leaders feel it's their need to help act out that play that was written 3,000 years ago. That doesn't sit well with the majority of human beings that view war and suffering as a negative thing. We're also going to see the United States of America, the Supreme Court, coming down with some rulings that just might surprise many people. I feel that it's going to be the female justices that make the huge shift of what is considered legal or not legal. In June, the second week, Saturn will square the USA's Sun. And that is when Mr. Chatterbox at the top might just be reined in. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. You are so appreciated. If you'd like to become a patron, You can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.